Welcome back to Mosaic. Naomi and Zafira, I know that Shalom Bayit, as really an expert in this field and really becoming a niche agency with such a deep well of service and capacity, has really brought you to the fore, not just locally, but has brought you to the fore nationally. And I'm just wondering if you can let us know, what do you see on the horizon in terms of the needs nationally? What kinds of ways in which has Shalom Bayit actually been a leader in the field?
Right, well, we were one of the first Jewish domestic violence programs in the country, and there is something to be said for doing this work in a community-specific way, because part of what we did was to develop not only the kinds of programs that serve women who've been victims of domestic violence, but to really help our community think about what does a Jewish response to domestic violence look like. So, for example, we do a lot of spiritual healing work with women who've been abused by a partner, and that really gives them a different dimension to their healing process. We also have a Jewish healing aspect of all of our community education, so that when people think about issues of domestic violence, as Zafira was talking about in the teen program, they're really thinking about that through a Jewish lens. What does Judaism have to say about how we interact with each other? We have a calendar of Jewish healing rituals for every holiday and occasion that are specific to domestic violence, and that, for example, is something that has been used around the country. Last year, our teen program went national, and we now have a published version that is being used, in fact, in other countries as well as other Jewish communities throughout the United States. And our congregational protocols and all of our ways of working with communities to think about how we shift the mindset to really stop domestic violence. All of those pieces are being used across the country. You know, one in every 4 or 5 women will be abused in her lifetime, and that statistic is true in the Jewish community as well. So really, it's staggering when you think about 20% of women in our community may experience emotional or physical violence in a relationship, and we absolutely have to do something about that.
And I know from our perspective at the Jewish Healing Center how honored we've been to partner with you on some of the Jewish healing spiritual aspects of the work that you do. So I know we have a professional first-hand experience with the extraordinary work that you do, and really honored to be doing it. So I know in that way how integrative you are to the kind of work you do within the context of the local community.
Right, we work with everybody in the community because battered women could be anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so it's really our job to be everywhere, and that's why we're a Bay Area-wide organization. And we are as accessible as we can be to battered women wherever they come from. Many times it's not safe for women to come forward to an organization if they feel like their abuser may be connected to that place. And so that's why we've remained independent but collaborating with everyone, so that we can really increase the access as much as possible to survivors who need us.
Yeah, and if I'm struggling at all getting into, so you know, some congregations, there's certain things, reasons why they haven't brought us yet for our teen program, but I never give up, because I know it's important to reach every single community in the Bay Area with this prevention work. And also, you know, when I educate teens about Shalom Bayit and about healthy relationships, they do go back and talk to their parents about it, talk to their friends and family. I actually just ran into somebody the other day at Israel in the Gardens who was a parent whose son had seen our workshop and had come home and talked to him about it. So it's an important way to get the word out about Shalom Bayit to everyone.
We have boys who go through our workshop and tell us afterwards that they're rethinking the ways that they've been in relationships with their girlfriends. We have women who call us and say, I went to a workshop you did at Hillel 5 years ago, and it made me realize I was in an abusive relationship, and I got out, and you really saved my life. So there are people whose lives are impacted by the work that we do years and years later, and I think it's so important. It may not seem like a great topic that you want to bring to your 6th graders or your social action committee, but in fact, it's very life-changing, and you never know when there's going to be one person in the room whose life is affected by domestic violence and who will either make a different choice or find safety or be able to really build a violence-free life as a result of hearing about our programs.
We have just a minute before we need to close the show and say goodbye to you, but can you give us a sense of who's on your board and who your board is, and who the people are that support you?
We're very proud to say that we have broad support in the Jewish community now, very different from how it was 16 years ago. We have 7 women on our board. We have broad support from throughout the Bay Area. We have counselors who work from San Jose to Marin and East Bay to West Bay. And really, we receive support from just about every segment of the Jewish community and every denomination that you can imagine. And that is because domestic violence happens in all of those places.
As always, we've come to the end of our show, and we just need to put a comma into the conversation and just hope that you and others who are watching this program will continue to keep the conversation going about how important the issues of domestic violence in the Jewish community is, and come to Shalom Bayit. Wonderful to have you join us this morning. If you wish to